Community Wellness Day participants. And today we got something very special to share with you. My dear friend Dane Donahue, who a lot of you at this point in time should be familiar with. He created 8 Weeks to Wellness, and he speaks on many platforms and has such valuable information to always share with fellow chiropractors. He's been in practice over 2 decades, third-generation chiropractor, probably one of the best members of this profession I have ever come across. And a few months back, Dane shared something with me that he's recently created that I thought is an absolute perfect fit for you to utilize at your Community Wellness Day, and that's the Wellness Score system. And we're going to turn it over to Dane and let him share with you why he felt this was absolutely critical in today's chiropractic environment to create this system. Dane?
Thanks, Randy. I really appreciate it, and I've always appreciated our friendship. And I am obviously a Community Wellness Day advocate. We've run it for the past 2 years, and it's just been a sensational way for us to connect with the community. And we really do feel like we are the wellness experts in our community. And part of the reason for that is not only are we out in the community talking about wellness and taking our rightful place as chiropractors as wellness experts in our community, but the other thing is we do wellness in our office. And I feel a lot of doctors, Randy, have the sign Wellness Center on the door, but they don't necessarily know how to do wellness or practice wellness inside their office. And so we've used the Wellness Score, a rudimentary version of the Wellness Score, Randy, probably for the past 8 or 9 years. And I have to say, of all the things that I've been most excited about in practice, it's been this. And because one of my statements I always tell my patients is that physiology never lies. So when I sit down with a patient, it's, and Randy, what it's like being a chiropractor, and as a third-generation chiropractor, people come in as skeptics, whether we like it or not. We've got to confront the brutal fact that people are skeptical of chiropractic, but they can't be skeptical of their own physiology. And so when you go over their wellness score with them and you show them where they're lacking, where they're deficient, where they're struggling, they can't argue with that. They can argue with you as a chiropractor and maybe your beliefs, even though they shouldn't. They can never argue with their own physiology. So we created the Wellness Score as a way to show people what chiropractic can do. Randy, I know what a chiropractic lifestyle has meant in our lives and for our families and for our children, but people don't know this information. And so being able to keep score, which I think is critical. I played sports, Randy. When I played football or wrestled, at the end of the match, there was a score, and I either won or I lost. And I think it's kind of the same way with our patients. They're either winning with you, being involved with your care, or they're not. And if they're winning, they're going to stay on as patients. They're going to refer patients. And so results have always been the way that we generate referrals, the way that we generate talks in our practice, because when we have a really excited 8 Weeks to Wellness, a participant who's done great, they obviously want to tell other people about it. They want us to help tell other people about it in their lives. So I can't tell you what the Wellness Score has done for me personally. It's just been a great tool. So I do want to show the Community Wellness Day participants how to use this. It's pretty simple. I've always tried to stick at things that I'm pretty good at. And one thing that I'm not good at, Randy, is computer programming. And maybe you are, but I'm not.
No, not my forte.
Yeah. So when we started to really look at this, and I started to have chiropractors ask me how they can use the system that we created, and particularly they wanted to use different parameters, or they may not want to use the blood work parameters that we use with 8 Weeks to Wellness. I went to my good friend Miles Bodson, who runs Cash Practice, because I've always been the type of person, if I want something done, I'm going to find somebody who's really good at that and ask him for help. So I asked Miles, I kind of showed him what we were doing, and Miles agreed to take this project on, and we've been working on this, Randy, for about the past year and a half. That's how long it's taken to actually program this. But basically, we first decided what the platform would look like, what the Wellness Score would look like, what parameters we were going to include. And we did kind of some beta testing with chiropractors, asking them what physiological biomarkers they use in their practice. So, there's some common things, Randy, that everybody uses, things like X-ray, things like palpation, things like vitals. But there's also some different things. Some people use a neurospinal functional index in their practice. Some people are probably using myovision. So we wanted to make it flexible. So we came up with about 30 biomarkers, custom biomarkers, which I'll show you in a second. But then the nice thing about the software is that you can enter a parameter. If it's not one of the parameters that's listed, you can actually custom create your own parameter. So, and if at any time, Randy, you think there's an important question that needs to be asked, please stop me and we'll address that. But what I was going to do is just take people through how easy it is to run the wellness score and show them what the report looks like. So what you're looking at now, and Randy, you can see my screen, no problem?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what you're looking at now is the Cash Practice home web page. So if you have a Cash Practice account, you'll recognize this page. If you don't, you can go to www.cashpractice and you can sign up for the wellness score or one of Miles' other modules. He has things, and I know you're familiar with this, Randy, like the cash plan calculator, the auto debit system, and the drip education system for emailing your patients. We use all of these in our practice, by the way. So I'm just going to enter you. If you see over here, it says clients. So I'm going to add a new client, Randy, and that's going to be you. So we'll add you in here. There's 4 things that you need to be able to run a wellness score. You need a first name and last name. You need gender. And then the last thing you need is date of birth. Randy, what's your date of birth?
November 7th, 1962.
Same month as me.
So just so they understand, they don't need to use the entire cash practice system to be able to utilize the wellness score.
That's correct. They can if they want to,
Yeah.
but they can just use the wellness score as a standalone module. So I just added you as a client. So if you come over here, Randy, I'm going to show the viewers here what we've created. This is the wellness score system on the left side, and you'll see that there's a couple things here. Running an exam set, which we'll do in a second, searching exams of previous wellness scores that you've done, and then you can compare. This is the cool thing, Randy. You can compare. In our practice, we have 3-month care plans, or we have an 8-week care plan if they're doing 8 weeks. So you can do pre- and post-wellness scores after they've gone through your care. We've created a manual, startup manual, to show people how to use it. But if we go to settings here, I'll show you some of the parameters that we've already created with the system. My computer's running a little bit slow, but there it is. So these are the parameters here, Randy, that we've created. And I'm just going to kind of take you from top to bottom. So basic health parameters, Randy, like BMI, body mass index, everybody knows what that is. And then we've included some of the lab work that we've used in our practice, C-reactive protein, which is a measurement of inflammation, your cholesterol to HDL ratio. And the nice thing about this, Randy, is it's really enabled us to connect with a lot of physicians. I just got a phone call from a physician of a patient who went through 8 weeks to wellness who was just blown away at the patient who had gone through 8 weeks to wellness, to change in her blood pressure, and he actually took her off her blood pressure medication and took her off her statins, but he was just amazed at how she was able to do this. Now, the only way that I was able to communicate that to him was through her wellness score, and he contacted our office. I didn't reach out to him. So it's been a great way to connect with other physicians, and when you do pre- and post-testing and you send those results, what I would recommend is you send those results with the patient to their doctors to see their pre- and post-testing when their numbers come down. It's a great way to establish relationships with other docs.
Because like you said earlier, just to kind of, keep nailing down that same point, this is what people understand. People understand their physiology, and doctors understand their physiology. So now you're building a connection that everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely. And I tell patients you can't have it both ways. Randy, if somebody's cholesterol's high or their blood pressure's high, or their BMI is high, they've got to deal with it. And the system we have set up now is they deal with it with medications and surgery. And it's because they don't have another alternative. But if patients knew that they could deal with their blood pressure and their cholesterol and their C-reactive protein and their diabetes and their cancer, if they knew they could deal with these with natural solutions that aren't pharmacologically based, they would take advantage of it. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of them don't know that exists. And the second thing is they don't actually know that it can actually change these parameters that we're measuring. So when we actually show them this and show their doctors, it really does, breed confidence in what we're doing. So then what you have here is some core flexibility and strength testing that we do, some more lab values, the foot leveler's digital foot scan that a lot of the chiropractors use. So I'm just kind of running through here to see you that, and then I created this with one of the docs, Lindsay's parameters, just a sample that you can custom create your own parameter if you want. So just to kind of show you the parameters that are in here, but we put a bunch of them in here. Waist to hip ratio, we use that in our office. So once they decide what parameters they want to use, they create what I call parameter set, In our office, Randy, we use 4 parameter sets, and a parameter set is a wellness score that you're going to create on a patient. So, for example, the 4 that we use in our office is we have 1 for our general new patients, so all new patients that come into our office. We have 1 for our 8 weeks to wellness patients. So when an 8 weeks to wellness new patient comes in, we have a separate parameter set that includes blood work. We also have a corporate screening parameter set, Randy, that's 4 parameters that when we go out and we do lunch and learns and biometric screenings at corporations, we use this wellness score and we print up a copy of that wellness score to give to the employee. And then the last one we do is we have a detox program that we do in our office, a 10-day detox, and we have 5 parameters that we measure pre and post detox, that 10-day detox. So once they decide what they want to do, they're going to create these parameter sets. So, for example, you see here our 8 weeks to wellness parameter set, which is 15 biomarkers. There's our wellness, WSC stands for Wellness Solution Center. Our new patients, our general new patients, consist of 10 biomarkers that we measure. There's our corporate screening one. We measure BMI, diastolic blood pressure, a medical symptom questionnaire, that's MSQ, and then a waist-to-hip ratio. So we do that at our corporate screenings.
So, Dane, just the corporate screening one is probably the one or something along those lines that would be appropriate at a community wellness day, because you have to, obviously, you know, you're not going to do something with 10 different parameters in an event like that.
Absolutely. So that's a good transition to what I want to do here. Let's run an exam set, Randy, using that. And what I'm going to do is we're going to select the corporate screening, right?
Okay.
And then I'm going to put you in here because you should be in here now and should pop you up. Oh, there you are, Randy. Well, you were in there twice, Randy. I had already created you.
I think we did that when you demoed it for me that day.
Okay. Now the other cool thing is that you can select a service group. In other words, I can select this, and what will come up, Randy, is if this is a new patient of mine, it would program in any services that are related to that parameter. So in our new patient wellness score, what comes up is not only fitness training but chiropractic adjustments, nutritional services, massages, any other services that we use in our office. So the parameter is tied to a service that you use for that parameter. So, for example, what I would recommend to the doctors, if they're going to measure something, I always say what gets measured gets managed. So if you're measuring something like BMI or waist-to-hip ratio, then you should be able to manage that for the patient. So I wouldn't recommend selecting parameters that you don't have a service to be able to deal with that issue. Does that make sense, Randy?
Absolutely.
Okay. So in our office, we have the ability to do functional fitness because we have a functional fitness facility. So I measure BMI and waist to hip because I know I can get that person exercising and change that biomarker. But for the corporate screening here, let's just plug this in, and we'll say your BMI is 26. We'll say your maybe your diastolic pressure is a little high. Your medical symptom score is, let's say that's 30. And then your waist to hip ratio, and basically we take a measurement of the waist, a measurement of the hips, we divide the hip measurement into the waist measurement, and that's going to give us a score. And we'll save that. And then once we save that, that's how easy it is. Up here we can either edit the information I just put in, or I can review the wellness score that I just created. So here's the report. Now we have our logo that we've uploaded into Cash Practice. So you can actually upload your own office logo into this report that you would print up for the patient, obviously with your center's address and phone number, which is obviously important if you're at a corporate screening. Randy, you want to be able to print this up or email this to the patient so that it has your number on it.
Sure.
And then this is what we just measured. So you can see poor Randy's, you got an F, Randy. And I know you're doing a lot better than that, but obviously I want to show this to them because this is what I go over with the patient. And I would say, you know, Randy, right now, your overall wellness grade is an F. And based on the things that we measured, you know, you're not doing really great with your health. So I would really make a recommendation to come into our office and let's dig deeper into these issues because obviously you're not doing very well when it comes to your health.
And it's pretty much that simple. So just to kind of go over I'm thinking along the lines of how how they implement this at an event. The questionnaire is easy. The people can fill those out while they're waiting online. And then the other markers that they use, they just keep it simple. That either if the doctor's by themselves, they can do quickly, or have staff members take these measurements, plug it in, and basically print out the report, and then the doctor just is the one that evaluates the information, correct?
Correct. And you've
Okay.
taught us, Randy, how to
Yeah.
screen so that, there's somebody who greets the client, there's somebody who's going to input the information and maybe run the scan or whatever you're going to use for your
Yeah.
corporate screening. And then obviously this is the report that I would want printed up and given to me along with that employee so that I can then go over that and then get them scheduled for a new patient appointment in my office. All right, and I'm just showing some of the other parts of this report. It just shows them their general health, things related to their health, the physical, mental, emotional, and biochemical stresses. So this is something that I can talk to the employee about too. Obviously your health is a reflection of what you're eating, how you're moving, and how you're thinking. So these are really critical issues that we deal with in our office. You could talk about subluxation and how these things lead to subluxation. And then each one of the parameters is defined here, Randy, so that if you have an analytical person, they can know what BMI is, why we measure it, what normal is. So it's been a great system, and I'll kind of just pull another one up here just so they can see a general wellness score that we would use. I'll pull myself up here.
Is this appropriate for what age, Dane? In other words, can it be used on children? Do you go just above 18 years old? What's your feelings on that?
Well, it depends on the biomarker. Like if you're doing a postural biomarker, which is one of the biomarkers that we have listed, you certainly can go young. If you do a thermal scan on a child, you can, so it really depends on the biomarker you select. Obviously, you wouldn't do a functional fitness test on a 2-year-old, but if you have a parameter that you wanted, and that's the great thing about this, it's very adaptable to the type of practice. So if you have a pediatric practice, just pick pediatric biomarkers and create your wellness score based on that. This is the actual one that we use in our office for all of our new patients here, Randy. So it includes, core flexibility, core strength, BMI. But then you have your chiropractic biomarkers down here, neurospinal functional index, their posture. We do digital postural pictures, the X-ray that we do in our office. You could do palpation. So this is the wellness score that I go over with all my patients. And again, I was just talking to a doctor before I got on the line with you. She just started using the wellness score, and she's in 8 Weeks to Wellness office. But she was telling me she was so excited. She was telling me yesterday she had a patient come in. She ran her wellness score, and she was not an F. She was like a low F. Her score was like a 40 out of 100. And she just told the woman, she said, listen, you're very, very sick, based on this wellness score. And her husband was sitting there as well, and she said he looked pretty unhealthy as well. And she suggested that not only that she do 8 Weeks to Wellness, but she suggested that he look in to get his wellness score done. And he set up a new patient appointment. She signed up for 8 Weeks to Wellness on the spot. And she said she really believed it was because she looked at this report and she was kind of so devastated. And I always say, Randy, that people don't make decisions based on what they know. They make decisions based on what they feel. And when they see all these reds and this F, it makes them feel as if, hey, I'm not doing a good job, not just symptomatically, but overall functionally, and I need to do something about this. And this is really why I'm excited about the wellness score, because it gives that tool to the chiropractor to say, hey, listen, you have something powerful here to be able to show people their own physiology, and when they're not doing good, you really motivate them to want to make a change.
Well, the way I see this is that it's very simple. Basically, if in a screening system where you're only using a few parameters like you showed us in your corporate area, you're talking about under 2 minutes to really get someone's wellness score up there and visual for them and print it out. And I think that that's incredible that you have the opportunity to customize it. Like you said, it doesn't matter what kind of practice you have. Everyone uses some parameters to evaluate their patients, and now we can put it into a system very simply, very user-friendly, and give people something that they can understand. Because I still believe a lot of times when we give them nerve charts and things like that, even if we explain it, it doesn't resonate with them.
Well, that's a really good point, Randy, and let me just say something about that, because I've been saying this for a long time, but we need to meet people where they are, and I think it's great that we use our chiropractic parameters. I think it's great that we use things like NSFI and X-ray and palpation, but we've got to meet people where they are. And if you were to go out and ask people when was the last time you had an NSFI done, they would look at you like cross-eyed because they don't know what that is. But if you ask people about cholesterol and you ask people about their BMI and their body composition, percentage of body fat, people understand these concepts. So you can integrate these parameters in with your chiropractic parameters, and it really just validates what you're doing, I think, that much more, because, again, you can start to connect lab work and these other things to their doctors. And again, until we show as a profession, Randy, that we can beat the medical profession at their own game, the game isn't going to change. It's only going to change when patients start to recognize that, hey, there's a better way to change my physiology. There's a better way to live. I don't have to be dependent on all this medication. But until we step up and really show people that, Randy, I don't believe this medical system and this medical cartel is going to change.
I agree. So, let me share with everyone for a minute that the reason why I thought it was really important that you take a look at this as part of your Community Wellness Day is not simply because Dane and I are good friends. It's really because I think that this is something that everybody needs to start using. And, Community Wellness Day, we're not stagnant. We're not always giving you the same information. I'm always looking for what I feel is the best tool for you to be the best chiropractor and provide the best resources at your event. You've just seen something that anyone can use. It's already created for you. It's incredibly user-friendly. My suggestion is that you go ahead and you do take whatever steps necessary to be able to access these modules and practice it a little bit before you actually get to the point of your event. Use it at your event. And you know what? I know you're going to see the benefits, and I know you're going to see the value in this, and people are going to respond so well when you print it out. For years, we always encourage people to print their scans and give them to people because it's something for them to walk away with. Well, now we're giving them a whole chart on exactly what's going on with their physiology, and they will respond, and it will make a difference. So I want to thank Dr. Dane Donahue for not only having this vision, but taking the time and sweat and energy that I knew it took to create this and sharing it and bringing it to our profession. And now it's up to us to take the action step to use it. So we're going to make sure to put a link below this video where you can access the process and get started immediately. Thanks, Dane.
Real quick, Randy, if they just go to the Cash Practice website, www.cashpractice.com, and they can click this button, this Join Today button, and it will pull up the wellness score system. It's right here, and so they can just check this and uncheck these boxes if they don't want any of the other systems, and they can get started. But like you said, we'll give them a link, and then there's a tutorial video on how to use it, so it's pretty user-friendly.
Absolutely. So that's it. Again, we give you all the tools that you need to be successful, in this journey of Community Wellness Day, but it's up to you to also see the vision and take the action steps along the way.
All right, guys, have a great day. And just, Randy, so you know, Community Wellness Day has been awesome, and using the Wellness Score, we're getting about a 50% sign-up rate. So of the people that come through our screening with the tools that you've taught us and using the Wellness Score, we're literally at about a 50% conversion rate. That's paid new patient appointments coming in to our practice. So I want to thank you for everything that you've done for us.
Well, thank you, Dane.